You can't hear me. Okay, so I just said we're going live in 10 minutes. It's 11:18. We'll go live at 11:28. I got to set up some charts and post some links and let people know we're going live. 11:28 on the dot. We'll start talking about Bitcoin and technical analysis. All right, we'll go live in now 6 minutes or so. I'm going to be responding to member questions first. Well, first I'm going to go through the rundown of the normal technical analysis. Live in now 6 minutes or so. Turn off my mic volume. And so I'm going to go through our usual technical analysis, answer some questions from members if they've got any. And then I will interact with all you wonderful YouTubers in that chat room. Where's everybody tuning in from today? I can't read the YouTube comments while I'm live because it's very distracting. Toronto, London, Phoenix, Ohio, Canada, Dubai, Ireland, Atlanta, India, Yorkshire, Australia, Thailand, Chicago, LA, London, Minneapolis. I think we got it all covered. Finland, New Jersey, Boca Raton, Denmark, South Africa. Awesome. I wish we could have a map. I'm sure we can in the analytics somewhere, but a live map with a little dot where everybody's tuning in from. been a very bullish day for assets in general. Gold is up, markets are up big, Bitcoin's obviously up big, silver. A day for the bulls. Four more minutes. Bull miners gave us a nice signal yesterday. Equilibrium breaking bullish on the 4-hour time frame and big time follow through today. Ideal 2 days in a row for miners. There is still correlation with Bitcoin and the S&P 500 to be aware of. Certainly have to keep an eye on that overall. It's been fading. It's not as strong as I was noticing it last week, but it is still present. We're going to be working on a video once I'm done this, titled Trading with Patience. Talking about some psychology and some potential game plans and ways to work on patience. I've got a family with baby chipmunks exploring the yard in front of me for the first time over the past couple days. Lots of playing around. Depends what kind of patience they are. Don't think I want to be trading with patience right now. I get it. Play on words. Drinking iced coffee. The key is you drink 80% of the coffee, and then when you're down to a little bit left, you stick it in the freezer for tomorrow. Then I brew coffee, let it sit out, get room temperature, put that on top of the frozen coffee, and at this point, there's got to be well over a week's worth of small remnants of coffee that has transferred into cubes and back to coffee again. That's my routine. This is the important stuff before we start going live. All right, we got another 60 seconds and then we'll do it. So one thing that we are watching that isn't going to have a direct impact on crypto in terms of short-term action, this dollar daily equilibrium is a beauty, and we've certainly been using it for trading gold, because the miners and the metals have been inverse to the dollar, but look at how beautiful this equilibrium is. So everybody's talking about either hyperinflation or deflation or what's going to happen with the dollar. Well, we're going to get a whole bunch of information to end April and to start May. Probably to start May, because if this is our lower high being set today, anything under 193, if this is our lower high, we could pull back for a few days and still stay in this tightening range. So we'll be looking for a break next week, but not necessarily coming next week. And how this breaks will be key. We've been forming this pattern at this point for almost 2 months, a month and 3 weeks or so. And if you are bullish to metals, you definitely want to see a bear break of this dollar. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Nice to see a lot of crypto traders out there learning about oil. Again, diversifying our knowledge base and markets that we are able to trade is the name of the game. Always opportunity somewhere. All right, let's get into it now. So we'll start off with Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. First things first, have we changed the weekly trend bullish? Now you're going to get a different answer depending on who you ask that question. We topped out at exponential resistance. We formed a little bit of a pullback, and then we saw continuation. For me personally, and again, if someone says yes, it's a weekly trend change for the bulls, and if someone else says no, I'm not going to argue with either of them because it's nitpicky and it depends on the individual. For me, I don't consider that a weekly trend change. Why? Number one, the size of the dump. So the size of the dump that we saw, if I'm going to call it a weekly trend change, I need a more clear pivot point than that. I need multiple weeks of a pullback and then continuation. Another reason is we have a whole bunch of altcoins like ETH that never saw this little bear break. They're still in the pattern of a higher low every weekly candlestick. So pulling up ETH to look at that, there is no sign of any weekly lower high being set. That's a factor as well, for the reason that I don't consider Bitcoin a weekly trend change where some of the altcoins didn't even see any weekly consolidation. So I'm still considering this the same move overall over the last 5-6 weeks. And we're still watching 10,500. I still consider anything under 10,500 to be a lower high, and we're still going to be watching for a tightening range. Another factor, the S&P 500, which we absolutely have been correlating with on this bounce, has not set any signs of a weekly lower high either. Every single week is a higher low. There was no pivot. So those are the reasons that I do not consider Bitcoin having just changed the weekly trend back to the bulls. That being said, obviously we're very bullish in the short term with the action today and the fact that we are at the top of the bounce. We haven't topped out and seen significant weekly consolidation. So that's me personally. Again, I wouldn't tell anybody they're wrong if they're going to say that's a weekly trend change. And if you remember looking back here, it was the same thing. I did not consider this a weekly trend change on Bitcoin because of how significant the bearish downtrend was in the preceding action, and that just wasn't enough for a pivot to call it a weekly trend change for me. So that's where I stand with my opinion, and that's now our key short-term support level. We have a couple daily higher lows now. First level is 6,748. Next level is 6,456. Those are the two most important levels. And anything above 67.76, or actually 67.48, anything over that level is a daily higher low. So the bulls have a ton of space to maintain the daily uptrend for now. Where is our next resistance? We're looking back at levels from right before our big dump day of March 12th. That top is 79.69. So that's the next resistance level for me, aside from psychological levels, 78, 79. So previous price level, 79.69 is the next resistance. And I will be viewing this as anything under 10,500 as a lower high, and still going to be watching for a tightening range. And again, just pull up the 2-week time frame. If you want to smooth it out and remove that little lower wick that I was just talking about, I would be anticipating a lower high and then a higher low and a tightening range here. So there's no sign of that top being set at this point. There was some signs of it. Didn't see it in some of the altcoins. Didn't see it in the S&P 500. Didn't see it in gold. So Bitcoin in control. Are we going to see consolidation now? How extended are we? Look at that 4-hour RSI. We're not that extended. We are overextended on the short-term time frames, and we are pulling back. You can see the 5-minute huge spike in volume. The volume started pouring in, and of course this is only the Coinbase exchange that we're looking at right now, but the volume started pouring in when we broke to a daily higher high. The daily trend changed with the higher low. The inside bar bull break set our higher low yesterday, and the break of 73.08 set that higher high. Look at where the bull volume came in. We had one little candle with some bull volume to get to 7,300 resistance, but then it's once we broke that level, then the bull volume started pouring in. Because once we clear that resistance, we don't have a ton of resistance nearby. We had one more level to be watching, which was the top of the entire bounce, 74.66. But you can see just a ton of stop buys being triggered, and stop losses for shorts being triggered rocketed us this significantly, in my opinion. So the 5-minute RSI has now cooled off. The 15-minute RSI is cooling off, trying to set a higher low at 74.71. That is our short-term support right now. If 74.71 continues to hold, the bulls keep complete control of this move. If we lose that level, we zoom out and we will look for an hourly higher low. Plenty of space for it to form, exponential support. We're going to play the zoom out game with exponential supports as we zoom out on each time frame. And of course, the 4-hour chart, same thing. Plenty of space for a higher low to form. So right now, if you told me you can only be watching one time frame in the short term, it's the 15-minute chart. because that little higher low is clear. And now we're going to be watching, do we set a lower high compared to the top of 77.75? And I definitely want to cross-reference another exchange to make sure that that big spike up wasn't just a whole bunch of stops being filled on one exchange. And I can see here on Bitfinex, very similar action. So that's nice that we're seeing exchanges align doing the same thing. And we'll be watching the 15-minute uptrend from here. If I were looking bearish, I need to see some weakness. The only bear plays that I would like are clear top fishing plays with very little risk, where I have my stop, it will trigger, we're near that level, because otherwise we have no previous price levels. And that's why, in my opinion, once 74.66 was cleared, that's why it looked like this price moved like butter. Moved through, you know what I'm saying, hot knife through butter. Because there's no previous price resistance here. So it's easy for the bulls to go an extra $300 in a few minutes with no previous price level. So if I'm looking short in that scenario, I have to be very cautious, because the last thing I want to do is be in a short position when we move to that higher high where the bulls can easily push higher due to the lack of previous price resistance levels. So only short plays are, in my opinion, top fishing plays or losing short-term uptrends. But again, I have to have a very clear stop level nearby. I definitely want to be keeping an eye out for a longer-term bear swing position, knowing that I am looking for a lower high compared to 10,500. And again, yes, that pullback a week ago definitely could be viewed as a fake out, but still not giving up on the lower high compared to 10,500 sometime. Could be a month from now. Maybe we march up with another few green weeks and get to 9,000. I don't know, but I am anticipating the most likely scenario is a lower high compared to 10,500 and an equilibrium in that bigger, broader range. The Bitcoin dominance chart just broke bullish. It was a possible daily bear flag. We came down. Yesterday we held support, and now we're breaking short-term resistance. So a little bit of a shift in the daily momentum, meaning zoom out and look at the weekly chart. So now on any bounce, we have a weekly inside bar, and I would just be looking for a weekly lower high to be set compared to 67.99 where we initially topped out. But what this is telling us is Bitcoin is gaining against altcoins on this break. I know that the break today, Bitcoin made a stronger move up than the vast majority of altcoins. I'm sure you can find some altcoins that had a stronger move, but again, just talking bigger, broader picture, Bitcoin was the bullish name to be in for this move today. So the question now is, can we break our next resistance level? I'm looking up at 65.54. And could you consider this a trend change? You could. A weak little bounce, a little higher low. But again, for me, it's not a clear enough trend change. What I would be watching, if we fail to break that 65.54 level, this would be a potential little left shoulder. This would be the head. If we fail that left neckline of 65.54, I would then be watching, can we form a higher low and form a right shoulder for the inverse head and shoulders trend change on the daily time frame. So that's something to be watching into next week to see if the Bitcoin dominance can continue to go up and if Bitcoin can continue to gain strength relative to these altcoins. So ETH, we know we have no pattern break of the higher low every weekly candle now, 6 weeks in a row. Anything under 290 is a lower high. That is still a very long way away, over a 50% move to the upside. So again, what's the most likely scenario? If you were going to tell me that we are going to break 290 and just keep going up from here, V-shaped recovery, I would have to see increasing bull volume on this weekly time frame. If I'm going to anticipate, what I anticipate is the most likely scenario, as you know, an equilibrium. If that's going to start showing us, nope, that's not the most likely scenario, I have to see increasing bull volume for that to be the case. The odds that we're going to break that 290 level on decreasing bull volume is so extremely low that it's almost an impossibility in my opinion. So we're watching the pattern of a higher low every week, which is still easily intact. The daily time frame is in a very clear uptrend for ETH. We have a higher low that was established now at 166.40 even, and we just broke resistance. Not a very convincing break of resistance, and you're going to have a lot of people out there looking and saying, is this a rising wedge? Which is potentially a possibility. Although, as far as the actual support line goes, it's not really converging enough for me to be calling it a rising wedge. But whenever we see bull breaks without a ton of follow through, that's always the first thing that I look for, is the potential for a wedge. So the daily uptrend is the most important factor for us. And at this point with 168.44 as support, if that level were to break next week, then we would be looking at the potential of weekly consolidation. But again, if that level holds, no weekly consolidation is coming. And it was a beautiful back test and hold of our daily exponential support. So same thing, we zoom in, the 4-hour time frame, plenty of space for a higher low. The 15-minute chart pulled back. Look at the exponential support holding. This is why we play the zoom out game, because each shorter term time frame, exponential moving averages usually come into play initially. It's then once they're lost that we zoom out and then say, okay, can the hourly exponential support hold? So as of right now, the 15-minute higher low being established is 186.93 short-term support. And we have short-term resistance of 191 and 194.86. So bulls keeping control, but look at the ETH BTC chart. Very important double top. So this double top here is preventing from ETH gaining strength against Bitcoin on this current move. So we have a lower high being set, and if we pull back and break 2469, which is our daily higher low, we will lose the daily uptrend on this ETH BTC move. That will be very important to me because we've been looking for a weekly lower high to form. Again, look at the dollar. When you have a move with this kind of range and this kind of significant movement back and forth, you look for an equilibrium. And we started looking for an equilibrium on the dollar right here. And it's been playing out wonderfully. And if you look at the ETH BTC chart, it looks very similar, just a little bit sooner. That pattern's more developed on the dollar. So we're looking for a weekly lower high compared to 28.51. When we lose the daily uptrend, the odds that our weekly top has been set will increase significantly, and we'll then look for a pullback in a weekly higher low compared to 2021. So it's looking like Bitcoin might start gaining strength against ETH after ETH has been gaining strength against Bitcoin significantly over the last 2 weeks. But we're not sure of that yet unless we lose this daily support level after this double top. That's a very important short-term pattern to be watching if you're determining who should I be looking bullish on, ETH or BTC. And the answer will be ETH as long as this uptrend is intact, and then once it breaks, it'll be BTC. Litecoin is still weaker than everybody. We didn't break resistance here. I don't even have to look at the LTC BTC chart, but I will. I know it probably just made a bear break of a key support level. And there it is. Look at that base of support, and look at that bear break. So again, I don't even have to look at that chart to know that's what happened, because I can look at the daily chart of Litecoin and say, okay, we haven't broken resistance, and Bitcoin did significantly. So we've got an equilibrium setting up on LTC if we fail 44.51 in the short term. So low, high of the bounce, higher low is 39.53, and it will be a lower high if we lose the 4-hour uptrend without breaking 44.51 resistance. So don't really see a reason to be playing LTC right now unless I'm looking bearish. And the fact that the LTC BTC chart just hit our lowest price in a very long time. We spiked down here on March, but other than that one little spike down, this is the lowest price that we've seen in 3 or 4 months. XRP USD. So we broke one resistance level on the daily, but we didn't break 205. So pretty much all altcoins that we're going to be looking at, we know they're not going to be as strong as Bitcoin because that Bitcoin dominance chart is making that little bull move. So we do have a daily trend change here back to the bulls, higher low and higher high. But if we do not break 2057, we know that the bulls are not going to get any real significant follow through. That's a key resistance level. 4-hour uptrend is the most important from here. Anything above 1855 is a 4-hour higher low. If we lose the 4-hour uptrend without seeing that daily level break of 2057, that will be a red flag for bulls because of the lack of follow through. Looking at it from a weekly perspective, it's an inside bar bull break, but right now that bull break is failing, and actually it wasn't an inside bar, I take that back. So weekly consolidation did start on XRP like it did start on BTC, didn't start on ETH. Still struggling at the weekly exponential resistance is the bottom line. Have to see 2057 break for confidence in follow through. Binance daily resistance has not broken. We are still in a daily uptrend, and that level is 1682 to break. Our daily higher low is 1469, and bulls have to be a bit cautious of the head and shoulders here. And if we zoom into the 12-hour time frame for a bit more details, we can look at this as a left shoulder with our neckline support at 14.11, our head with our right neckline at 14.69, and we would have to top out pretty much right now and start pulling back over the next 2 days if this is going to potentially be a right shoulder. So just something to be aware of. Obviously, if we do not break 1682, we know that the bulls need to be cautious. And the most important level is 1469. So if we fail to break 1682 and then break that daily uptrend, we zoom out because weekly consolidation will be underway at that point, and BNB is just like ETH, no weekly consolidation at any point on this bounce at this point. Daily uptrend is the most important factor for us. So it's a potential top fishing play. If I think that the Bitcoin bulls are not going to get much significant more follow through from here and we're going to see consolidation in the crypto space as a whole, then I'm watching for this top fish bearish entry off of 1682 on BNB and then just hoping we lose that 4-hour uptrend. And again, keeping that risk small because that resistance level and the level that would stop me out is nearby. Link has been a very clear lead bull for a very long time. And we just broke to a higher high, so that's a good sign. 346. Nope, it was higher than that. It was 384, and we got up to 392. Not as much follow through as the bulls would hope for at this point, but again, every back test of the 12-period exponential support is setting the daily high or low and keeping full control for the bulls. What's missing? We still have more time to go, 8 hours, but bulls would definitely like to see more bull volume on this move. So let's see if the 12-hour time frame, because again, a bull break without a lack of follow through, I keep an eye out for rising wedges. That's my signal to see if I can find any rising wedges out there. And again, this is the first time I've drawn it here on this chart, but it's a little bit of a 12-hour rising wedge just to be keeping an eye on. As far as short-term support goes, again, as long as that daily high or low holds, bulls keep full control. So the most important daily support is 337. As far as the 4-hour chart is concerned, anything above 360 is a 4-hour high or low. And this is another chart where we have seen no weekly consolidation since the bounce started. So it would join the likes of BNB and ETH, whereas every other name that we looked at did see some weekly consolidation. So daily uptrend, most important factor. We'll see how long the bulls can maintain it. I already did XRP. Who are we missing? XTZ USD. Another bull break and another lead bull. So again, we can't assume that all altcoins are weaker than Bitcoin right now because that BTC dominance chart is based on the top market cap altcoins. So we've got Link and we've got XTZ who have been lead bulls for the last few weeks. They're continuing that. XTZ volume is exactly what the bulls want to see, increasing on the way up. Daily high or low is 208. Anything above 208 maintains that daily uptrend, keeping the bulls in complete control. I'm not going to look for a rising wedge here because the bull break over 238 is very convincing. We went up 9%, 8 to 9% over that level. 4-hour high or low, plenty of space for the bulls to be working with. And again, when we lose the 4-hour uptrend, as long as the bulls hold the daily high or low pattern, they keep complete control. Weekly time frame, we have not topped out at any point on this bounce to this point, but that key resistance is still well over 50% away. So we are still absolutely looking for a lower high compared to that level. There's just no indication of that as long as we are in a daily uptrend. BCH USD did not break resistance of 247.59, so it is clearly one of the weaker names. Double top at that level. And if we lose the 4-hour uptrend from here, we will look for the daily equilibrium. Same setup as LTC right now, being one of the weaker names on this list. BSV, same thing. We're looking for a lower high compared to 209.58. If we lose the 4-hour uptrend without breaking that level, daily equilibrium is setting up. So now that we've run through these names, BCH and BSV and LTC, clearly the weaker names, not breaking to a daily higher high at this point. We can group XTZ, Link, BNB, and ETH all as names that are our lead bulls overall that have not seen any weekly consolidation on this entire bounce. We know we're watching that ETH BTC chart closely because that will start to see a little bit of weakness in ETH relative to BTC if we lose the daily uptrend on that chart. And that just leaves Big Daddy Bitcoin on its own as our overall guide. And of course, the daily uptrend is the most important factor here, and the bulls are keeping that in control. So overall, a day for the bulls, clearly seeing some names stand out stronger than others. And it all depends on the time frame for your trade as to what time frame you're most care about. If you're looking for a scalp, you're looking at the 15-minute shorter term time frames. If you're looking at when is daily consolidation going to take place again, you're looking at the 4-hour uptrend. And if you're looking at when is weekly consolidation going to take place, you're looking at the daily and the weekly chart. If I'm a swing trader, the 15-minute chart doesn't mean anything to me. So again, a lot of people can zoom in too much and make decisions on very small time frames when they're trying to be a longer term swing trader. And in my opinion, better off just setting a time frame and saying, okay, if I'm looking at a swing trade and my time frame is multiple weeks, the smallest time frame that I'm going to look at is the hourly chart. So checking in now on some member questions. Do I think that the huge 50% dump in part was whales liquidating longs to get prices cheap before the halvening? I do not think so. I think we dumped because human emotions triggered. And fear is a hell of a human emotion, and we saw it trigger in every asset class in the entire world. And I don't think Bitcoin is any different. I think the same thing happened. Fear. People wanted cash. People wanted some security because cash was where everybody was fleeing to at that point in time. And I think the same reason we dumped on any asset is the reason that we dumped on crypto. Does the declining weekly bull volume on BTC concern me? Doesn't concern me. It makes me look for the lower high. That keeps it the most likely scenario as long as that weekly volume is declining. That being said, this is the most common volume pattern on what you would anticipate on this dump. You know the most volume is going to be at the climax and at the bottom, and you know the volume is going to taper off from there. And again, just pull up SPY in the S&P 500, and what is the weekly volume doing on this bounce? The same thing. You got the volume climax down at the bottom, and now it's tapering off. And that's why we see equilibriums form. And that's what I'm anticipating is going to happen in the crypto space. What do I think will be required price action wise for hype to return to the sector? A break of 10,500 at this point. But if we don't get that, and if we do get the weekly equilibrium, a break of that bullish into later summer would be a good sign as well. And I will probably, right now the only position I have in crypto right now is my no touch long-term position, which I trimmed down on this dump. There is some that I will not touch no matter what. It will go to zero, and that will be it. I will not touch this position, and that's the only position I have right now. So if we start seeing clear weekly consolidation in the S&P 500 and in Bitcoin and in the cryptocurrency space, I may start to dabble with a longer-term swing position. Now that I have a clear stop level of 38.58, the bottom is the most important support for me. And maybe I'll dabble by scaling into some positions. Maybe I'll enter some, at 6,000, 5,500, 5,000, just slowly scaling in, looking for that weekly higher low. I haven't anticipated if I'm going to do that yet. I haven't made that game plan, but that's definitely on the table as something I might do. But back to the question, the herd and retailers, the retail traders, will lag price action. The price will start getting bullish. The articles will start coming out. They'll start talking about it on CNBC. And then we're going to see the herd FOMO return. We're not going to see herd FOMO before price action. It will come after price action. And while, yes, this is an awesome bounce, we're looking at 100% bounce from the low right now. Because it's just a reaction to the dump, it's not enough of a bull move to get the herd and to get retail traders back on board just yet. I mean, there's so many individual stocks that have bounced 100% at this point. Not so many, but there's a whole bunch of them. So I think we need more price action, more hype and FOMO. Do I think the brief bearish daily trend change we had in mid-April was a fake out, and how would bears have managed their risk on the pump that followed, given that stop losses were kind of unclear? Well, stop losses weren't unclear. If I went bearish, and I would not fault anybody that went bearish on this pullback, looking for the weekly lower high. But the stop levels are the daily lower highs or the top. And that, in my opinion, is why we're seeing so many levels trigger today on that big move with stops triggering for both bulls and bears, because those were our clear levels. We had a clear level at 73.08 to go off of. And if you're not going off that, you're going off 74.66. And if you're not going off that, there is no previous price level nearby that you're going off of. So that's where everybody was congregating their orders around. So that's where you got to stop out. And ideally, my style is taking partial profit. Let's say that we pull back and I enter bearish on a loss of the daily higher low, which I would consider 67.50. So if I enter bearish at 67.50, I'm going to lock in some profit on the next leg down. Let's say I'm in at 67.50 bearish and I exit half at 65.50. At that point, my break even is now 69.50. So that just drops my risk a whole bunch, and that is my ideal style to keep risk small. The way that I've been trading over the last year plus in everything, stocks mostly, because I'm not doing as much crypto trading right now, but it is keeping that risk very small and then allowing that remaining position to play out. So, I forget the question at this point. So yeah, it was a fake out without a doubt. But the thing that would have been in the back of my mind is, okay, the S&P 500 is not seeing weekly consolidation, and neither are our lead altcoins like ETH, BNB, XTZ, Link, and that would have kept me skeptical of the Bitcoin pullback a bit. What is my long-term mindset for the future of crypto, mostly Bitcoin? Long-term mindset? I have no idea. I think it depends on the dollar. I think we have to see the dollar fail for Bitcoin to reach its true glory. And I don't see any sign of that at this point. Yes, I know there's a whole bunch going on. A lot of people think the dominoes are just starting to fall. That may entirely be possible. So I have to see significant lack of trust in the dollar. The reason that we didn't see Bitcoin perform as everybody thought it would in this market collapse scenario, in my opinion, is because the dollar was the life raft. And I'm a perfect example of that. I went like this with all of my capital and put it in the dollar because the dollar chart was showing me that's what you should be doing right now for safety. And if that is not the case, then where do you go? Then you go to Bitcoin. So if the dollar, as long as the dollar is the safety raft, I do not think Bitcoin will reach its true glory that all of the Bitcoin maximalists are hoping for. With the current global recession, what do I think that payment options like XRP, etc. do I think they will take off as economies are folding and fast payment options are limited? I have no idea. I don't think so. I mean, I'm still sending money often with PayPal and all these other services very quickly, so I don't have any need for XRP. I've sent multiple PayPal payments this week. Okay, that's the member questions. Let's check back in on short-term Bitcoin in the 15-minute time frame. Are we bouncing off that high or low? Look at the 5-minute exponential. So we're still on this time frame as far as the zoom out game goes. We're still holding 5-minute, 12-period exponential support. And once that's lost, we'll zoom out and look at the 15-minute exponential. And then once that's lost, we'll zoom out and look at the hourly exponential. And just looking at the trends on all those time frames, which are clearly uptrends in the short term. So I'm reading the YouTube chat now, and I'll answer some questions there. Let's go general questions, and then before I wrap it up, we'll do some altcoin requests. Thoughts on gold? I give my thoughts on gold every day at the end of the day in my market rundown video. How do I feel about volume profile? The volume being stacked vertically, showing volume at specific price ranges. I personally don't use that style, but I definitely can see value in it. And a lot of people use volume weighted average prices, and it works well for them. Honestly, I'm at the point right now where I'm in cruise control with my trading style, and it's working really well. And I'm having nice base hits on a daily basis in the stock world. And again, I'm trading stocks and not crypto because of fees. If you saw my crypto fees and you can see the amount of dollar volume that I can trade in stocks on a daily basis in very liquid names for 0 fees, I would be dumb to be trading crypto right now. So when crypto volatility is such that I cannot match that in the stock world, then I will pay the fees to trade crypto. But until that happens, I won't. And right now, the market is obviously giving us tons of volatility, so I don't have to be trading crypto to find that volatility right now. Back in 2017, obviously, you couldn't match, 2017 into 2018, you couldn't match crypto volatility in any asset that there was pretty much in the world, which is why I happily paid tons of fees to be able to have access to trading it. I went off on a tangent there. Volume. So yes, if it works for you, absolutely use it. But the point was that I'm in cruise control of my trading right now, and I'm not going to trade anything until it breaks. Until I'm in a rut, until I'm in a funk, until I have to change something, I'll start exploring other things. But it's the same reason I'm not trading futures right now. There's no reason for me to, because everything's working perfectly. And if I do what's been going on in the past few months for the next bunch of years, then that's all I could ever hope for or ask for as far as trading goes. Thoughts on long-term gold? Fundamentally, why do I own it? I don't care about the fundamentals of gold whatsoever. I care about the uptrend on the daily chart, and I care about the lack of resistance on the long-term chart. That is the only reason I'm in gold. Do I think Bitcoin is a big ascending wedge, which it just bounced off the top of? Again, it's something I will keep an eye on, but overall, I mean, there's a clear resistance line that we're not seeing a ton of follow through over. But as far as the support line and the constricting range, it's just not really there for me. I mean, that's more of a channel than a constricting wedge. If I want to call that a wedge, I want to see something like that and the price getting squeezed. As I just said, I don't trade FX because I have absolutely no reason to. Trading stocks is working wonderfully. What kind of gains do I think are reasonable or good to aim for as a day trader? Again, I say it so many times. If you trade and if you get 0.5% a day and you are compounding your gains, so you're getting 0.5% a day on increased position sizes every day, if you do that for a year, you make so much money. So, people are out there looking for 5% a day, where I would so much rather just have 1% a day if I know I can do it day after day after day on a consistent basis. So right now, I'm only going for fractions of a percent on my total account in the stock world. If I make 2% a day, I'm golden. So it varies for everybody, and the dollar amount of your account does play a factor. And everybody wants to get there quickly, but if we're talking about over a decade of time and you are putting away 0.5% consistently on a daily basis over a decade, you're set for life. I know it's a long time, but this is a marathon, not a sprint. And if you have that kind of mindset where you're looking years and years into the future to be doing this, that is when a little bit consistently goes a very long way. What do I think about the intelligent investor and how they say TA is a scam? Anybody that looks at my results, you can't say TA is a scam. It's just not possible. You can't be lucky for a decade consistently smashing what the markets are doing. It's just, I don't argue with those people anymore. I used to try and show people, no, you can, pretty much at this point, the only people I interact with are people that will accept the technical analysis has value, because otherwise it's not worth my time. But I have all the proof that I need, and I'm not out here trying to convert people like a religion. I'm happy with my religion. I'll stick to it. I don't need to go to my neighbors and knock on their door and try and convert their religion. If they're open to it and they want to come hear about it, I'll tell them all about it. But I'm not going to go out and actively try and change people's minds. It's just not worth the time. I would not invest in oil right now. Yes, there is going to be bullish opportunity in oil, but I am not sophisticated enough with oil markets, contango, and everything that's going on to have confidence in that oil play. So yes, we will see the economy slowly reopen. We will see oil start to get used again by airliners and cruise ships and all that. But I don't know when. And I don't know what good instrument to be using to trade it. USO keeps changing how it's calculated. We're going through a reverse split. There's just a whole bunch of uncertainty in the space overall. If I were trading oil, it would be with futures contracts where I can have a stop loss protecting my position at all times. And I would probably be looking multiple months out on a futures contract. Just gave my thoughts on ETH. If I miss this move on Bitcoin, what would be a potential good bullish entry? It depends on how long I want to be in this trade. Because again, knowing that we're going to top out at some point, most likely compared to 10,500, I obviously don't want to be buying right before that happens. So at this point, I would either, if I'm looking for a day trade, I'm looking for an hourly higher low for an entry. If I'm looking to hold for multiple days, I would be waiting for at least a 4-hour higher low. Keeping in mind that after a big bull move like the one that we just saw, we can now open up to the next time we see 5-minute oversold conditions and the next time we see hourly oversold conditions, we can anticipate there is likely going to be a very solid bounce in those conditions because history tells us after big bull moves on daily time frames, there's enough people interested in entering bullish positions to be looking for those setups to align. So I can look at this move and say, oh, darn, I missed it. And then just say, all right, well, next 5-minute oversold, I will make an entry. And historically speaking, the odds will favor that you will make money on that trade. So it's the patience that is required to then wait for those conditions, which may take a day or even more to get to. And that would be a nice segue to the video I'm hoping to make later today, trading with patience. Yes, there is a chance in SPY that we set a lower high and drop to a lower low and lose the daily uptrend on this current bounce, but every dollar that we head higher decreases those odds. Because right now, the SPY bulls only have to go $5 for a bull break, while we have to go over $10 for a bear break. We pretty much need to top out today and pull back and end the day with weakness for that to be on the table for me. Thoughts on Robinhood trading? I don't think Robinhood is for serious traders. Robinhood's target market is people that don't know much about the market, and they gave no fees. They were looking for small accounts and retail to get involved. They were looking for people new to stocks to get them involved. If I'm going to be a trader doing it for serious, doing it for real, I want to use an account that has been targeting that kind of client for over a decade. Are there any plans of writing a book on trading psychology? No plans for a book, not my style. I've never read a trading book in my life, so I probably won't write one. But we have a member who is very fast. He's now a moderator, but he's very fast tracking his learning curve, and he is a psychology major. And I know he is starting to put together the pieces for a psychology course, and then I will jump on with that and work on that with him. So potentially sometime over the next year or two, we will have a psychology course, but very, very early stages. I have thought the buy and hold strategy has been dead for a long time. And I just think that has a lot to do with the current market conditions, with the bots and the algos, with technical analysis, with all of this shift that's gone on over the last 2 decades. I think every year that goes by, we switch more and more from fundamentals. We switch more and more away from fundamentals and towards technicals, which is a shorter term kind of mindset. I mean, just the moves in the market cap of BYND all-time high run, and the market cap of the Tesla all-time high run, and the market cap of the marijuana sector. We just see so many instances where fundamentals and market caps and all these metrics that people learn about with their financing degrees go completely out the window. And the more that happens, the more people are going to be pushed towards the technical analysis end of the spectrum. And this move in the S&P 500, this bounce that we're seeing, in response to coronavirus, I mean, you have so many people with fundamentals baffled and scratching their head. And for me, it's just a big advertisement for technical analysis. I would not have any interest in shorting gold. It's in a daily uptrend, weekly uptrend, monthly uptrend, and at, what, 9-year highs, however many year highs. I'm not going to choose the biggest kid in the schoolyard to pick a fight with. Second favorite altcoin. My altcoins are based on the technicals. I like ETH. Link has been great. I could not tell you coherently the fundamentals of Link. And I personally don't care. That's the mindset that I've adopted. But I know it's bullish. I stream, we stream, we all stream for ice cream. What I was trying to say is I stream twice a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we have Chart Gal Dinsey stream Thursday. We have Chart Guys Jason stream Friday. We have multiple live streams every single day, with stocks being the main focus and commodities and all that. So a lot of days now we're having 3 live streams a day. I played around with stochastic RSI probably 9 years ago, and I just didn't find a reason. I used to use full stow on my charts, and then I realized it's not really showing me anything that the RSI is not, so I gave it the boot probably 5 years ago. Cannabis was huge for my success. Well, actually, I don't know if you're talking about trading it or using it. So hard to answer that question. Trading it, it was definitely huge for my success, just like the cryptocurrency was huge for my success. All right, let's do a few coins. I will look at 3 coins, then I'll give away 2 crypto courses, and then I'll wrap it up. So ICX Icon. So we're looking for a weekly high or low to form. So we got our low, weekly bounce to a lower high. It's definitely a little bit choppy. Let's see if we're going to check a different exchange real quick to make sure we're doing the same thing. So yeah, we're looking for a little quick weekly trend change. We have a higher low established at 21.31, and we have to break 26.94 to change this trend. And we just saw a little daily higher low and higher high, just like Bitcoin, but it's one of the names that has not broken all of the previous price resistance. So I would put this in the middle of the groupings. We have our weaker names that have not broken the daily higher high like Litecoin. We have our stronger names, like names that are at the highest price of their bounce. And ICX would be in the middle because we broke our short-term resistance. We didn't break our mid-term resistance. I already did XTZ, guys. XLM. That's a lot of volume. That is a very convincing bull move. Very tight range, volume disappearing. We had a bull break into a little fake out without follow through. Inside bar, there's your follow through. Weekly time frame, all about 888888887. Watching for a lower high compared to that level. Daily time frame, tons of space for a higher low. And very nice explosion. Just pressure building up and then the bull volume pushing it over. 4-hour uptrend. We're definitely very extended. No bullish entries at this point. 1-hour exponential support. Great visual guide over the last 2 days. Very nice follow through on XLM. Let's go Dash. So Dash got a bull break of both levels, but no follow through. So have to be cautious. Anything above 73.03 would be a daily high or low. Bulls must hold 79 for a 4-hour high or low. If we lose the 4-hour uptrend from here, I will consider this pretty much a triple top almost. Inability to close over $84 is notable over the last few weeks. All right, last one, Qnt Btc. So again, a daily bull break. These upper wicks, definitely a bit concerning for the lack of follow through. This is a cup and handle pattern where we, technically speaking, I wouldn't put it in a book because the right side was higher than the left side. So it's not your picture perfect cup and handle, but healthy bull flag consolidation. Now trying this continuation, but unable to hold these gains for now. If we lose 71568 support from here, it would be a red flag. And I'd then be looking for weekly consolidation to be likely, because that would be pretty much 4 out of the last 5 days pushes and then just keep getting rejected by the bears. And then if we lose that 7156 level, that will pretty much be the bulls losing their grasp on short-term momentum. All right, let's see if we can get some questions for some free courses. First one to give the correct answer will get them. We'll do 2 questions. First question is, I don't know. What is the name of the ocean current on the east coast of the United States? And it's more than just the United States, but that's a big portion of it. Rubabs is the winner. So you got to save Rubab's name. Somewhere where I won't lose it. All right, that question's done. Next question. Next question. Something about nature. What vestigial bone in Wales lets us know that they were once land-dwelling mammals? I love the premature guesses before the question. Haven't seen it yet. Pelvis. Canary. Canary Global Trading. So I'm not sure I'll be able to message you two individuals. I will try. YouTube used to allow you to send messages to YouTube channels, but they might have stopped that. I'll figure it out. I'll find you. Yes, whales have pelvis bones, and they used to have hooves and walk on land. Now you know. Have a good rest of your day. I appreciate you all tuning in, and we'll check back in soon. Have a great rest of your day.